Supercharge your business with a Verizon 4G LTE mobile hotspot. And connect up to 5 Wi-Fi devices at once. Because the business with the best technology rules.
You'll definitely have heard of Hollywood and almost certainly Bollywood, but what about Nollywood? Well, you may be surprised to hear that it is the burgeoning film industry of Nigeria. The United Nations has recognized Nigeria is the second largest film producing country in the world after India, pumping up around 2,000 movies a year. This week, Nigerian productions are taking the silver screen by storm at the first Film Africa Festival in London. One of its most celebrated filmmakers is Zina Saro-Wiwa, recently included in the Times newspaper's list of 25 Africans leading the continent's renaissance. Zina joins us now live in the studio. Congratulations, that's great. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about how life in Nigeria influences the kind of films that are out there and the kind of films that you direct.
Well, I think life in Nigeria very much influences Nollywood. It's very much taken from that kind of aspect of life. Not very much the political life, but very much social, emotional issues that are going on in Nigeria. Nollywood is a very kind of emotional and emotive kind of film industry, and I think that really informs the films that are kind of made. The films that I've made for the festival are actually inspired by Nollywood itself. They're kind of an alternative take on Nollywood. They're experimental.
Like what kind of topics?
Well, for example, one of my films called Phyllis is about a woman, a single woman in Nigeria who wears different sorts of wigs. And it's an experimental film, but it's taken from the idea that Nollywood has a lot of women wearing wigs, especially when they're seen as bad women or evil women in some way, wayward women.
Right.
And they wear these different kinds of wigs. And I wanted to do something that addressed that issue, this idea of how women are treated in Nollywood and Nigeria.
What kind of experience have you had being a female film director in Nigeria? Was that tough?
I mean, I live in New York, brought up in the UK, but went back to Nigeria every holiday. And I think that, for me, I'm never worried about the fact that I'm female and sort of making these films. However, I know that, you know, in Nigeria, as in other parts of the world, there are very few female filmmakers. The majority of the people telling the stories, or the majority of the directors, are men. Now, in Nollywood, women are very prominent in the films. There are a lot of actresses that are very prominent. But I also think that there are also stereotypes. So, on the one hand, women in Nollywood are very important. On the other hand, they're not as powerful in the sense that as they should be.
Why are Nigerian films so big? Like, why is Nollywood bigger than Hollywood? People would be really surprised to know that. And do people get paid as much as Hollywood?
They don't get paid as much as Nollywood. In Hollywood, I think Nollywood, I think they earn something like 30 to 50,000 to film. The big actresses actors like Genevieve Nnaji, or
who's like the Angelina Jolie of
she
Nigeria.
Is like the Angelina Jolie, yes. No, she's a huge star, and so it's not the same thing at all. But there are Nigerian Oscars, which is the AMAs, which is called the African Movie Awards. So that takes place as well. I don't think it's quite reached Oscar glamour stakes, but it's on the way there. But it's quite a different industry because there aren't multiplexes where these films are shown. It's the straight-to-TV industry, so people are watching them on the small screen.
What do the films coming out of Nollywood today tell us about Nigeria itself, modern Nigeria, as opposed to the Nigeria of your father, of Ken Saro-Wiwa?
I think what Nollywood's doing that's so interesting right now is that it's kind of navigating this issue of urbanization in Nigeria and Africa. I think urbanization is one of the biggest African stories that I think the world doesn't really know about. I think the world sees images from rural, poor